And once he turned that lap, he really eased off a little bit, and he let first Galati, who you saw behind him, and here Mike Fitzgerald letting it all hang out literally in turn 3, trying to take a run at that Super Chips Pole Award. It didn't happen. It was Cunningham's, and he's with Calvin.
At Sebring, P.D. Cunningham broke the tie he was in with Lou Gelati for World Challenge wins at 19. That 20th win actually added 100 pounds to this Acura NSX. The official felt that this car may have had a slight advantage. Also the win, another 40 pounds in rewards weight. The car now has 70 pounds added. But ultimately, the car is 140 pounds heavier than it was at Sebring. Now, didn't stop him from claiming the pole position, but P.D., the extra weight over 30 laps, how's that going to affect the handling?
Well, we'll kind of have to wait and see. We did a long run on Thursday, and I could definitely feel it even on one lap. But this car just really likes these long corners, and it's all long corners here, and we're just handling really good, and we got, you know, plenty of power. So we got a good package for this track.
Well, that's the second Super Chips Pole Award for P.D. Cunningham this year. Now, starting alongside him on the grid is Mike Fitzgerald. Now, he's one of the real-time drivers in the touring car division, but he's out for his first win this season, and I don't think he's going to be listening to his boss here today. More of a concern for the front-row drivers is Michael Galati. He'll start third in the Audi. He always gets a great launch with the all-wheel drive, and that could be key to him winning here at Mosport Park.
Thanks, Calvin. And one thing, it's never good to get additional weight, but you can move that weight and put it where you want, which can sometimes actually help the handling if you ballast things just right. That's what we may be seeing playing itself out. When we come back, I'll look at the starting lineup. He's joined, of course, on that front row by Mike Fitzgerald, the Transport Porsche. Row 2, Mike Galati, the champion Audi S4, and Jeff McMillan, the defending series champion of the JJ Snacks John Hancock BMW. Row 3, Johannes van Overbeek in the Flextronics Intel Porsche, and Derek Bell, the legend of motorsports Audi. Row 4, Bobby Archer in the Hallmark Super Clubs Corvette, and Phil McClure, the Aggregate Industries McClure Concrete Corvette. And your fifth row, Jimmy Adams in the Motor Coach Industries Porsche, and Bobby Sack, teammate to Archer in that Hallmark team. We take a look at some of the rest of the field, and once again, there's a couple of names. Lou Gelati sitting in for Boris Said in particular.
Yes, makes a return from the world of Trans Am racing, where he has been a race winner this year. And as you look down through the rest of the field, Tony Renna, young potential American star of the future, from single-seaters over to GT cars for this event.
It's going to be interesting to watch how it works for him driving one of T.C. Klein's BMWs. That was a touring car last year. They're a little bit down on power. He's having some fun. There's the signal. Let's look for the starts.
Lights on. Ready. Go, go, go.
Oh, and did you see the great move? It looked like by Galati, and then the car just looked like it bogged down and stalled, and he got swallowed up. He was looking to go to the lead, and he ended up looking like he's well back in the top 10, on board with his teammate Derek Bell and the great telemetry.
Telemetry shows particularly the steering movement here, but Galati, his teammate, did not have enough res, had a tremendous jump, and as you said correctly, Greg, bogged down and suddenly went from the second row down to about 7th place.
On board with Galati, carrying that little bit of extra weight right behind Phil McClure there, who's got Van Overbeek right in front of him. There's Cunningham leading it, then Fitzgerald, then McMillan, the all-red BMW. Then, oh, look at this move. That's Van Overbeek trying to wedge his way down inside Derek Bell. We're on board with Derek. There's the telemetry again in Moss.
Man, that was a move I don't think he'd make again, because he carried way too much speed and slammed right into the side of Derek Bell.
Oh, and there's Bob Miller, started in the 15th spot. He drives the Rogaine Direct PC Porsche, and he has gone off, and the entire field is swarmed by him. Looking up at Bob as he's trying to get back on course again. But boy, you can't even see the rest of the pack.
So again, the all-important opening laps where the tires are cold. You get people banging into each other and flying off the road, which basically ruins their weekend more often than not.
And look at Van Overbeek. He and McClure absolutely at war here as they come up onto that front straight. And that's Galati taking a run down the inside of his teammate Derek Bell. So Galati, in the course of half a lap, has moved up about 3 spots because he was back in 8th or 9th.
So Galati now making up for that bad start, but P.D. Cunningham in the lead. Remember, as you watch Galati here, Cunningham, you see here, he was half a second clear almost of the rest of the field in qualifying.
There's a look at what happened to Miller. Go on board here, and looks like he just tried to pinch it down too tight, trying to make a move.
almost sounded like he stalled the engine, but I think he just dipped the clutch to keep it running.
Back on board with Galati, heading down into Moss. And boy, you can hear the tires squealing, locking up, and he can't quite sneak by that number 73 of McClure.
You see the big drift of McClure. It gets it sideways. The car begins to get away. You slip and slide. You have to maintain control, even though the cars, virtually to be fast, are virtually out of control all the time.
We've talked about the Toyo tires that everybody's running here. These cars faster and heavier than the touring cars, and they really tend to put the tires under some stress, although the tires seem to hold up exceptionally well. Look at that big red light on the telemetry braking. You can see him feathering that pedal. Oh, look at this. Here comes Van Overbeek now. That battle with McClure side by side there.
Van Overbeek, who drives almost everything. We've seen him in BMWs over the years. Now, of course, in this Porsche 911. And they're side by side down to turn 1.
That's Galati trying to follow McClure, trying to force Van Overbeek wide. Looks like, well, he may have done it. He may have picked up that one spot. Still on board with Galati. Now we drop back to Bell. That's Van Overbeek right in front. Look at him dab the brake, trying to keep the tail settled.
Dustin Dirt by somebody. Such a difference in cars here. Front wheel drive, rear engines. Tommy Saffer. He is in. What is that? The exhaust that has set the car on fire?
Looks like maybe he's got some body work.
Come on into the pit. You're on fire. Come into the pit, Tommy.
That was his father, Tom Jr., telling Tommy that he was on fire. They've noticed it, and they want him back. Oh, look at that move! Did you see Galati? He went right between McClure and Van Overbeek and forced them both off. Bell trying to sneak by. There goes McClure. But Galati, talk about threading a needle.
Man, I don't know whether that was by accident or by design, but he almost took himself out. I don't believe he had any damage. Look at Saffer's car now. Man, he's in trouble.
That is a huge fire. That whole back deck now has ignited. You can see it's filling up the cockpit. Safar has got to bail in a hurry.
Oh, he hits the wall. He hits the wall trying to slow this thing down. He's got to get out in a hurry here.
Hey, Tommy, can you hear me? Get out.
Wow, did you hear that? He was actually, I think, coughing as he was responding to his dad that he was getting out. Looked like he was almost driving by Braille, bouncing off the guardrail a couple of times, trying to stop. Couldn't have done it better. Right in front of a corner station, they respond very quickly.
Full course caution. Full course caution.
That is a very scary situation for a driver because you cannot breathe inside that car.
We're on board with Bell, and he's in trouble.
I'm in the wall, thanks to Archer, too. Archer just took me right out, boys. Oh.
He took a rough ride. You hear him when he hit the barrier down there in that far corner.
Archer took me out. He took me out, pushed me right out on top of turn 2, but I'm fine.
He's got the door open.
Backwards in the wall, car won't go, I don't think. I'll try it.
But knocked the breath out of him.
No, it's fine.
Wow, so Bell.
And Archer tipped me off going around turn 2. Really delightful. Something about these guys, they get in the Corvette and the ring goes to neutral. Over.
Wow, so Derek obviously very hot, and of course I think he may have been referring previously to the incident that he had at Texas as well. But let's take a look at it. I'm not sure that was Archer.
That is Bobby Sack.
There's Archer right in front of him, isn't it?
And Sack drop kicks Derek Bell and smacks the concrete wall.
And right there you see Greg Merrill driving the Immersion Porsche. He drops it off. Now we're on board, a little different real-time view. Clearly gets hit. Bell, there's where he hits the wall. There you see Merrill. Wow.
Look at the dust that flies all over the racetrack.
Oh, look at this. There's Merrill coming back on, and that is Dave Farmer in the Metrochemical Vet. How they didn't hit, I don't know.
That was a brilliant, instinctive move by David Farmer. That avoided a huge crash.
Unbelievable save by Farmer. Here's the reason we are under yellow. So far as fire is under control, only 5 of our 30 laps complete here in Mosport. We'll be right back.
Speed is about the same. The bottom line is that they're both about the same speed right now, and I think it's enough to do the job. I think right now we're going
the far out of his Hidden Creek Racing Celine SR, but as you can see, still smoldering there. Big fire as we took him out of this one, getting checked over by SCCA Pro Racing's Director of Medical. That's Dr. Ron Chrome, one of the best in the business. Checking over Tommy, making sure he's all right, and apparently he seems to think he is. And Tommy's laughing. That's the good news. He's out and he is okay. But we continue to circulate under yellow here at Mosport while they're going to be cleaning up this incident, and of course the one that involved Derek Bell. And there is Derek out of his car, a little frustrated, no doubt. It's not been a great season for Derek,
and probably still thinks it was Bobby Archer who hit him. And in fact, it was Bobby Sack. He had the Bobby right.
Yeah, he just hasn't had it. Probably he's unplugged, obviously, from the crew and walks over. What an opportunity for these fans. See, these Canadian motorsports fans, among the most knowledgeable you'll imagine, and they're going to get a chance to visit with a 5-time Le Mans winner for just a few minutes here. A special moment for them, no doubt, and they look to be taking full advantage.
He's telling him exactly what we heard on the radio, minus a few adjectives, I'm sure.
Minus a few beeps, I would think, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, while we're yellow, we'll step away. Fitzgerald, now we're looking back at Fitzgerald and heading through turn 10. Green flag. Hopefully we'll fly here and set him away.
Ready, go, 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 go.
And it is green. And oh, look at that, 4 abreast in the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th back in there. And Justin Jackson just made a great restart. There you see the blue nose of Archer's vet. Cunningham's car is the one we're on board with. Looking back at Fitzgerald, here's the rundown into turn 2. Falls away here. Now we're on board with Fitzgerald. And the Porsche right behind him, though, is McMillan.
And McMillan looks very good here, but remember what PD said at the top of the show. This NSX really enjoys these long, fast corners. This car is ideally suited for this track, as opposed to the Porsche 911 with all the weight in the back of the car.
And there, by the way, right behind McMillan, that looks like Phil McClure has got that vet back around Galati. Remember that thread the needle pass he made? Well, oh, this time that's Van Overbeck, who gets forced a little wide by Galati as he tried to run it on the outside in Moss, and Justin Jackson just motored right up and through. That's the J3 Motorsports Porsche, has picked up a spot as well. Oh, look at Fitzgerald showing some legs down that back straight. That's Cunningham we're on board with, and Fitzgerald just off his left shoulder into 8. Oh, big wiggle from Cunningham. And there goes Fitzgerald.
He got the wiggle when they were side by side in the braking zone. Look at Fitzgerald here. He argues over the point here, and PD Cunningham has not given up the fight yet. This is good stuff here.
Boy, that car just glued through 9, allowed Cunningham to run that outside line, and as you said before in the touring race, took away the apex at 10 and got back the lead from Fitzgerald.
70 pounds of extra success ballast weight on board PD Cunningham's car here. That makes it a little bit slower, particularly down the straights.
Here's the Audi field summary. You see it playing out in the upper left. Now remember that 70 pounds of rewards weight is on top of, as McClure taking a look at McMillan, is on top of 100 pounds that they added of just equalizing weight in an effort to make things a little bit more equitable the way that Cunningham's been running. So that car is seriously ballasted here. On board now with Van Overbeck as he sits behind Galati. Down into Moss. Oh, he closes up big under braking. He's in 6th, Galati 5th, McClure 4th.
Takes a wider line because he knows he's not going to make the pass, so he widens the line, turns to the apex early to try and get a shoot down the straight. We call it a straight. We mentioned it earlier. It's far from straight, but it is flat out the fastest part of this racetrack.
Well, the 2000 Porsche Cup winner, Mike Fitzgerald's having a great run out there this afternoon, and that's not in his regular car, of course, but he's really adapted very well to David Schart's car. It's a much softer setup than Mike likes to run, but they really don't have any springs or roll bars available to them here at Mosport Park, so the best thing they could do is really work with the shock absorbers, stiffen them up as much as they could, but he's certainly got good grip around the fast sweeps here at Mosport.
Fitzgerald doing a nice job, although it looks as though from turn 1 down to Moss, that's where Cunningham's Acura NSX really shines, Calvin. That's where he's been able to draw away a little bit. Whoa, somebody smoking noticeably up front. That is that McClure? That's McMillan, the BMW. Huge wiggle there. Something seriously amiss.
Oil.
Oh, look at the back. The back end of that car is folded up just a little bit. And I noticed the nose on Galati's car a bit wrinkled as well.
So guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a whack. The BMW, the bodywork is rubbing on that tire. And look, I mean, he's losing. Oh, he's going to get another whack. He got hit a second
nudge
time.
there, yep. That was Van Over.
Another time. He's being mugged here. Man, he's all over the place.
We're on board Jimmy Adams right now. Adams driving the Motor Coach Industries Porsche. Poor McMillan, obviously in dire straits, dropping back in a hurry, but getting roughed up on the way down the order.
Drop kick, punched, and finally mugged. Lost about 4 positions. Has a lot of damage on the car. I don't see blue smoke anymore, but I do see some blue smoke. Is that Bobby Sack? Or is that Bobby Archer?
I think it may be Archer with a little bit of smoke showing there.
It is Bobby Archer. Smoke from Bobby Archer's Corvette here.
So McMillan thinking it's New York instead of Mosport.
Exactly, yeah.
I would think he's headed down into the pits, one would imagine here. Watching for it. Meanwhile, the rest of the field streaming by. There's Adams, there's Justin Jackson. Those two, the Porsches, continue their battle. And he's in. Cal?
Well, Jeff McMillan makes his way back to pit lane. You can see heavy damage to the left rear corner, and we're going to squeak around to the right side. More damage there. The bodywork has got into the tire, cut it down. The crew has gone to work now. He's had 2 top 5 finishes this year and been much more of a factor in every race, so this is very disappointing for him. They had a lot of understeer in this car this weekend, but they gradually dialed it out, and he was right on the tail of Mike Fitzgerald in the early going, so the car was working very well, but they've got a brand new race car on its way. Jeff McMillan trying to repeat as champion.
Well, that certainly is going to be a problem in terms of those championship aspirations, but Derek, you have to wonder, prior to the yellow, Galati was behind McMillan. We had the yellow and then the restart. That's when they must have touched somewhere in that exchange.
And obviously the cut tire is why he lost so much time and was attacked by just about everybody that was behind him. And this is very costly. But McMillan, one of the most consistent drivers that we've had in the GT Championship.
One of the things you have to wonder about is you take a look at the front of Galati's car there as he runs 3rd in the order. It's definitely messed up. The splitter looks to be a little bit messed up. And then they play such an integral role in getting downforce on the nose of these cars, whether it's the Audi or any other car. But also there's a lot of ducting down there in terms of brake cooling and engine cooling. Wonder how that car is going to work. Meanwhile, we're on board with Bob Miller. Now, remember, he started 15th, and he spun on, I think, the 2nd lap of the race down to dead last. He's back to 13th, so he's having a very, very solid run. Oh, making another move. We're thinking about it. That's Farmer, who had that unbelievable save, trying to avoid Merrill in the incident that took Derek Bell off.
Yeah, Farmer, remember, started 16th also. That move to avoid the crash is his move of the race, no matter what he does from here.
No question of that. We have 11 of 30 laps complete here at Mosport.
GT Championship here at Mosport Park. In fact, this is the very first round of the series.
Sport as we are approaching halfway here in this one. There's your leader, Cunningham, chased by Fitzgerald, the yellow Porsche, then Galati, then McClure, then Van Overbeek, then Adams right there. Adams having a very successful weekend, not only on the track, but off it, as he's put together a nice program with Motor Coach Industries, and that's what he's using now, one of the MCI F3500 coaches to haul that trailer and team around in style. So he's enjoying it everywhere. We go on board with Peter Cunningham, and that's the margin, Derek. And look at Fitzgerald under braking. Boy, those Porsche brakes are awesome.
Peter Cunningham, the team owner, driver for real time, has had a rebuild complete over the winter of this particular car. It's now supercharged, has more horsepower than ever before. That's as a result, he has some success weight from his wins earlier on. But he is in control, but not pulling away that much from Mike Fitzgerald, who's hanging on here. But Mike Fitzgerald, in fairness to him, is very good in these Porsche 911s and always has been.
Exceptional. Remember his 3-for-3 run that he put together in his first 3 visits to the GT Championship last season. And he is continuing to hound Cunningham. Remember, Cunningham's win at Sebring broke the tie he had for all-time wins in World Challenge competition with Lou Gelati. He is now all alone with 20 wins. Now, here is the battle for 10th. That is Bobby Sack. And Sack working very, very hard at this part, trying to stay in front of Tom Weens as they work it out for 10th. Now, that car may look a little bit similar or familiar to you, the one that Weens driving. Well, it's Scott Beauvais. He's not here this weekend, so Weens is driving it. That's a car that Beauvais has wheeled rather quickly around for the last couple of seasons of World Challenge competition, and Weens doing a nice job as well.
Yeah, no damage on Bobby Sack's car that we can see from here after that incident with Derek Bell. We look closely at the right side of the car, but remember, it's a fiberglass bonnet on that, so it could deform, but not actually break.
The car in front of them right now, that's Lou Gelati subbing for Boris Said. Wasn't able to make the start in this race, so Gelati taking over. Maybe in the back of his mind thinking he could close up and take another run at Cunningham in terms of that margin, but the way Petey's running, not going to happen. Go on board here, riding with Bob Miller right now as he continues to fight his way up from that spin early on. We'll be right back to Mosport as we're just past halfway. There were your 3 leaders. Now, here is the battle. There's McClure in 4th. Here's the battle for 5th, Van Overbeek, and right with him is Jimmy Adams. And those two have been working each other over for a while here. We're on board with Adams as he is closing on Van Overbeek. Now, remember, Van Overbeek had pole at Sebring, so we know that this combination, driver and car, very quick indeed, and Adams is absolutely attached here as he sits in 6th, heading down the front straight into turn 1. Takes a look. Ooh.
Looked like he had more power even on that short straight later on the brakes. Van Overbeek is very clean, does not ride the curbs on this 911. See, edge of the track. Boy, TV does not do this downhill run, Justin. It plunges severely downhill. I mean, it's as good as it gets. You got to be real brave to put the car on the limit down through those sweeps.
What got me was the amount of respect that those drivers showed turn 2. To hear them absolutely feathering the throttle, there was no aggressiveness until they were past the apex and knew they could straight line accelerate out. That turn continues to hold everyone's attention big time. There's Adams.
Ooh, see the
big
drift?
slide.
Man, the drift, there's so much weight at the back of that car. Once the car gets away, we actually heard the tire squeal as he gathered it up and still turned in for the second part of that double apex right-hander.
And as the back end stepped out, that has allowed Justin Jackson right behind him in that white J3 Porsche to close up. Jackson now, as a matter of fact, he got a bit of a run on him. He's outside. It's awful tough. You can do it. Make the outside pass in 8. Nope, not this time. He tucks right back in behind Adams. But Adams certainly knows he's there now. And Adams has got to calm down after running wide like that. Look at that. He's offline there. He missed the apex at 9. So he turned in way, way shallow for 10. Oh, but Jackson went to the throttle and the back end of that Porsche stepped out when he hit the curb, Derek, and it backed him way off. We now drop back 1 position. We're on board with Bobby Archer in the Super Club's Grand Sports Hallmark Trailers bet.
But Jackson is having a good run here. Remember, he qualified in 11th, so he has moved up well if he can hang on to this tail-happy 911. Hear the torque, that V8. Just sheer American V8 muscle power.
Accelerating out of turn 3. Now we're going to drop back. This is Lou Gelati, who is subbing for Boris Said, who is having a stay in the province at the Queen's Convenience.
He's in jail.
It's a very bizarre story, and Boris certainly, it's been an interesting development, but Lou decided to get behind the wheel and help Boris out here, heading down into 5. Big wiggle there, and oh, there's Bob. That's Archer. That's Bobby Sack, Archer's teammate, and I mean, they clubbed each other down there out of 5 now, and they hit again. They hit again, so boy, Lou having a rough welcome back to the World Challenge ranks.
I think Bobby Sack was caught a bit by surprise because Lou Gelati got a bit wiggly in the braking zone. Oh, another spinner.
This is Greg Merrill, the gentleman who had the problem and got caught up with Derek Bell. Merrill is off. Quick recovery here in the immersion Rogaine at Speed Porsche. And he was back up to 15th at that point, so that's going to cost him a couple spots. Meanwhile, there goes Sack, and Gelati's slowing. Look at right behind him here. Gelati is going very, very slow.
And that is why Bobby Sack hit him earlier in the first instance, and then trying to get himself back on track, they made contact a second time. So he was obviously in trouble before that first contact with Bobby Sack.
And that second hit apparently has flattened that left-right, or the left front tires. You remember, that's where Sack went right around the outside of them, and they ground by each other pretty hard. Calvin, he's in the pits.
Well, Lou Gelati has made his way back into pit lane. It's a problem with the left front. The crew came across with a tire, but there's kind of a leisurely pit stop going on here. They're not really sure whether they can get him fixed. The jack is in the side. I'm going to try and get a quick word in here with Lou. There's damage to the left front. The crew is going to work. I don't want to get in the way. Lou, what happened?
We just came together a little bit with the sack car number 04. He outbroke me in Moss's turn, and it was just a little tussle for it. We touched, and no big deal, except I'm the one that ended up with the flat tire.
No big deal. You got to like a guy who just says, that's good, tough, rough racing here, just like it's supposed to be in Speedvision GT. So we go back on board here. This is Van Overbeck as he continues his argument over 4 spot at Mosport. We'll be right back. Truly underway here. We're on board with Phil McClure. He started 8th and has currently worked his way up into 5th in the Aggregate Industries McClure Concrete vet. Right there, right behind him is Jimmy Adams in the MCI Porsche. Now we're on board with Bobby Archer, the Super Club's Hallmark Trailers Grand Sport vet. Right in front of him is Jackson. There's that wiggle again. We have seen that, especially in that approach into Moss, those Porsches in particular with the weight on the back of the car really carry some slides through there.
Very loose oversteering car here that Jackson is trying to hang on to. Justin Jackson started 11th. Still in a good fight here with Bobby Archer. But unless that handles better, he's going to basically hang on for the rest of the day.
Boy, look at this. This is the battle for 5th. They are side by side. Adams underneath McClure and takes the spot away. And he just got a great launch out of Moss and just outpowered him, which you don't see very often up against one of those big Corvette V8s, but it worked beautifully. Meanwhile, back on board with Archers, he's got a great seat watching all of this. There's Van Overbeck. There now is Adams, then McClure, then Jackson, the white Porsche, and then Archer. And Archer, of course, won the championship with a Viper 2 years ago, was very close in the championship battle for much of last year, but he's back behind the wheel of a vet, which he has wheeled around here before in the old Escort Endurance days. He knows the way around this track in a vet.
Yeah, Jackson is hanging on well here, despite what seems to be an obvious loose and oversteer condition on the number 79 white 911 here. But, you know, he's still fast enough to keep Bobby Archer behind him.
Archer tracking out again. That's turn 3. This is one of the... Ooh, I thought he was going to make a move. One of the points on this track, they've changed so much. That used to be an absolute tunnel with a bridge that you dive underneath. Very dicey indeed. The bridge is gone. They've opened it up so much, and it really allows all the drivers to really hammer it through there with confidence. Big power throttle slide there by McClure trying to get out of turn 5. He may have gotten a little greedy, and if Jackson and the white Porsche got a good run, he might be able to take advantage.
And you can still see Jackson very aware that Bobby Archer is behind him in the Corvette, because he just tightens the line. See here again, just tightens the line, particularly in the braking zones, to make sure that Archer isn't tempted to try and slide down the inside.
And as a result, he couldn't do anything with McClure, and that getting loose on the exit of the turn. There's Adams, then McClure, then again the white Porsche of Jackson, and then Archer. In this battle, essentially, as we go now back a little bit, we're on board with Bob Miller, and that's Bobby Sack, who got real loose right there midpoint of turn 9. Never could get it down to the apex and had a couple of big slides, but Miller just could not quite get by him. But he's going to try him down to 1, dabs the brakes on that Porsche, sneaks underneath Bobby Sack, and he picks it up. And that's as close as it can get. That was Sack as he's trying to come by. Now Sack going to look down the inside, going into 2. No, and Miller holds on. And Miller, what a drive he's put on. Not only did he start further back than he's running right now, but he spun to the very back of the pack. Now Sack rockets up. This is turn 3, and he got him.
In the braking zone, the 911 does have more power. So if Bobby Sack's to keep this place, he's got to draw away a little bit in these corners, or else the 911 has a chance to power by again on the back straight. Bobby Sack, of course, his dad, Don Sack, well known to Trans Am viewers for many, many years.
Matter of fact, rumor has it that Father Don is going to be joining Bobby in one of these Hallmark vets at the next round in Lime Rock.
Okay, watch this. Does the 911 have enough power? He's closing. He's closing. He's in the draft. Here we go. The slingshot on the rev limiter. Can he make it stick before the brake zone? That's the key. No, he doesn't quite do it.
Oh, and Bobby straight line, but he runs wide. Sack goes way wide. He tried to straight line to the apex, and the car scooted on him. Just looked like he carried just too much entry speed.
Yes, got on the brakes and just went a little bit too fast. This is exactly what the 911 needed over the horsepower of Bog. Oh, he gets her sideways nicely under power.
7 to go here in Mosport. Come back and we take you back a little bit. The battle for 13th. This is Mark Anderson in the South San Francisco Auto Parts 928 International Porsche 928. Yes, indeed. It's an older car, but he's got it going very well right now, battling with Greg Merrill, who's had a very eventful race in that immersion Porsche 911. And that is the battle for 13th. Anderson has it, and Merrill sits right behind him in 14th down in the Moss. They've been duking it out for just a little bit.
Yeah.
Different couple of lines used there in the approach. And right there, Anderson looks like he's missing the apexes a couple of times. Sometimes that just means you're over-driving a little bit, doesn't it? You're carrying too much speed into a turn, so you can't get it turned down.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't have the car under you. The 928 just looks ungainly compared to a 911 on a racetrack.
Now we're on board with Justin Jackson. Of course, that's that white Porsche we've been following. And he is right now trying to do something here to try and move up just a little bit. Down through turn 4 once again.
Well, that's a good shot of the way the road drops away. That's one of the best onboard shots to see the elevation changes here at Mosport. There's the oversteer again. See it? See, he drifts wide, then brings it back again.
Adams is the gentleman that he was chasing. Now we go all the way to the front of the pack to Peter Cunningham, the real-time Acura NSX, who really, since that restart, has pretty much had things his own way. You can see Fitzgerald has dropped off to the tune of about 4 seconds or so as Peter wheels it through turn 10 onto the front straight and comes up. White flag should be coming out, and Cunningham begins the last lap here. And Fitzgerald, he's going to need a miracle right now. He's too far behind, and Peter needs to make some sort of major mistake or have a mechanical for Fitzgerald to have a run at this one.
See the plus 70 through the windscreen, plus 70 pounds of success weight. He can look forward to now to some more. The more you win, the heavier they make you. Trying to keep these cars as even as possible. Try and get parity despite the fact that they are technically and mechanically so different. They're trying to get them to run fairly evenly on the racetrack. That's quite a job.
It's a tough job, and Mitch Wright has done it very well. And now that he's been promoted up, he's still very involved with the series. But they've got others who are going to be looking after it. Here comes our man Fitzgerald here, and there's Cunningham up front. And Petey looks very good out of Moss. Fitzgerald a good run as well, but Petey's got it covered right now.
Yeah, this Transports Porsche GT3 Cup car that Fitzgerald is in, this has been a vain chase all afternoon long because PD just had that tiny bit extra of speed and nimble handling whenever he wanted, and just draws away about 3 or 4 or 5 car lengths, particularly towards the end here.
Petey made the comment that his car loves Mosport. It's designed for a fast, swoopy track like this, and it's showing. There's Fitzgerald into 9. Cunningham, one more corner, and he's going to get his second straight win. He won at Sebring, and he's going to get it again. Eased up just a little bit, but Peter Cunningham, 21st win of his career, extends his record. Jackson, tried to run at Adams there, couldn't quite get it done. He's going to try it again, and Adams protects into 10. This is for 5th, and Adams is going to hang on, but not for a lack of effort by Jackson, who gave it everything he possibly could. And there behind him is Bobby Archer, and Will Viz loving it. Let's take a look at our provisional results. Cunningham, Fitzgerald, Galati, good run to 3rd with a damaged car. Van Overbeck, Adams. Looking a little further back, Bob Miller, 15th is where he started. He finished 9th, but does it with a great drive. Then McMillan, his problems, 14th. That's going to hurt those championship aspirations. Gelati even farther back. And then, of course, the fire with Safar.
Yeah, Tommy Safar finished at 22nd, but he has a huge bill to repair that heavily damaged car.
Let's go down to Calvin with Mike Fitzgerald.
Mike Fitzgerald, new race car to you, mate, but great run up to 2nd. It looks like you had a shot at him, but that traffic innate hurt you and made the gap a little too big at the end.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have had a shot at him or not, Calvin. He was awfully good today. I got crossed up a few times trying to run him down, but I never saw him make anything even approaching a mistake. But the Wheel Source Porsche was great. I want to thank David Short for letting me borrow it, and my one-man team, Paul Bauer at Franz Blom Racing, my crew chief, head mechanic, chief engineer, truck driver, and anything else I need. He did an awesome job this weekend.
Tell us about the run you did have on him after the restart. You went side by side a little bit.
Yeah, I got a little bit. I got by him on the back straightaway, and then he had inside position for 8, and I tried to hang on and kind of pass him around the outside of 8, which I thought I'd gotten it done, but he went back around the outside of me in 9, and he had the inside for 10, and that was the end of it. And at that point, I was trying as hard as I could, but he just had too much for me today.
Great run anyway.
Thanks, Kelvin.
And his second place closes him up a little bit to Galati, who is now second, but Cunningham expands out with his win. McMillan Miller ends up 5th, and we'll take a look at 6th through 10th. But you know, it was Galati who made a brilliant pass down in the hairpin earlier. He's the Rogaine winner.